Hi, I want to talk about what are some of the main reasons students fail in an internship interview. So, this is, for example, if you're applying for a summer internship or even a spring internship or even as an analyst, after finishing your degree, you're applying as an analyst. And are there some of the main reasons that students fail in an interview? Now, of course, as you know, the ratio of someone getting through an interview is sometimes is quite limited. But there are most of the time I have seen in interviews and also talking to various hiring managers, talking to various students, and specifically from the point of view of the hiring managers. I've spoken to quite a lot of them. Some of them are my colleagues, and some of the main reasons students fail, I'm going to just summarize, give you about maybe 3 or 4 points. The first one is that most of the time students use the same covering letter and the same CV for all the banks and all different positions. Now, of course, if you're applying for a spring internship, for example, you wouldn't, you're probably starting your first year in the university, so you wouldn't have much to put on your CV, and for that matter, to keep changing your CV for, various banks. But you could update your cover letter. For example, you could, for example, on your cover letter, don't use the same cover letter for each bank. For example, on your cover letter, you could say, I'm interested in this bank for XYZ reasons. I've done some of my research and I like your bank's global presence, or you can say I'm interested in your asset management division because your bank is number 2 in asset management ranking, or your bank is one of the best FX dealers out there. Try to tailor your cover letter to that specific bank that you're applying, at least a couple of lines to say that, to make it specific. Now, I've seen most students sometimes, they have a standard cover letter, standard CV, and then bang, 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 they apply for all different positions just using the same thing. That is not a good strategy. Now, of course, if you are moving towards summer internships, which is sometimes it's 3 months, and or if you are applying as an analyst, so that means you have finished your graduate degree and you're applying as an analyst, then your CV has to be a bit more tailor-made to the exact bank or even division that you're applying. If you think about it, the skills an investment banking division will be looking at is quite different from the skills a sales and trading division will be looking at. And also, for example, if you're applying for a finance division or a quantitative analyst division, the skill sets are slightly different. So what's important is, this is one thing I always tell students is that take your time, do your research. If you can talk to a professional, I'm happy to help when I have the time. Talk to a professional and try to tailor make your CV to the specific bank, the specific division that you're applying. So this will increase your chances of securing a role. Now, of course, I understand that, if you're applying for, let's say, about 40, 50 different banks and, different roles, it's not possible every time to kind of keep adjusting your cover letter and your CV. But what I'm trying to say is, don't make it too generic, because if you make it too generic, it will kind of go under the radar. That's what I'm trying to say. So that's my first advice. Try to make your CV and your cover letter specific for the bank, the role that you're applying for. My second advice would be, and probably this should have been my first, but one thing I've seen a lot is communication skills. So most students fail either at the video interview stage, or even at a face-to-face interview, or if you're having a group session, due to communication skills. So I've seen many who have very good technical skills in terms of putting together, calculating numbers, putting together, answering questions which are more technical, but their communication skills kind of bring them down. Now, of course, this is not something that you could develop overnight. Communication skills is something that you develop over time. Specifically, if you're an international student and you're coming from a background which is not that used to kind of communicate a lot, then what my advice would be, try and work on it. Try and develop your communication skills, be part of a society. Try and speak to professionals whenever you get a chance. And also, there are various ways you can improve your communication skills. And I've helped quite a lot of people. And it's one of the major things I've seen that people fail in most of the interviews. Sometimes, in video interviews, they suddenly feel nervous. And that's understandable, because sometimes, these are new for you and you think that you lack the confidence. And this is one thing that you need to develop. And if you develop and you're good at it, it's going to really help you go very far. So that will be my second tip: improve your communication skills. And then my third tip is more kind of a common sense advice again. It's lack of kind of being prepared for an interview. Now, what do I mean by that? Is, for example, if you're applying for a particular internship or a particular analyst role, you need to do your homework. Now, preparing for an interview is slightly different from preparing to an exam. Sometimes for an exam you can study overnight. You can continue without sleeping for 48 hours. Study something, do this last minute revision. You might just get through it. But the thing with interviews is that also it depends. Now, if you're applying for a spring internship, this might not apply as much as you're applying for an analyst role, or you're applying for a summer internship. But my advice would be, take your time to prepare. So what do I mean by that? For example, if you are planning to apply for a particular bank, study about that bank. Why that bank is better than XYZ. In what areas that bank is doing well. Which countries that bank has a large presence. So do your homework. For the same way, for example, if you are planning to apply for an analyst role in the investment banking division, learn the basic terms of the investment banking division. Learn what do they do. You need to know about discounting cash flows, for example. The same way, if you're applying for sales and trading, you need to know what derivatives are, the various asset classes, how risk is managed. So, because the more you know, you will be very comfortable in talking about them, even if it's a video interview, if it's a face-to-face interview. And so my advice is, preparing beforehand is very important. And when you're prepared genuinely, it will come across as natural when you're talking, rather than someone who has just memorized, who's not 100% sure what he or she is talking about. And this is one of the reasons, because remember, the person who is interviewing you is definitely an expert in the field, not maybe in the subject matter, but at least the person is expert in interviewing, or the person is at least done this many times. So let's take it as that. So the person knows when someone's coming across as not being confident enough. So of course this links to my second point, communication and being confident, but also being prepared improves your confidence. So my advice would be, prepare yourself. So if you're starting in the uni, or you're in somewhere in the middle, and if you're really interested in banking and finance roles, kind of create a genuine interest in learning about banking and finance, and also mix with professionals. Get in touch with someone who's actually doing the job, who has done it for some time. Get their feedback, and all this will help you to develop your confidence. So these are my 3 tips. I know I said 4 tips, but these are my main 3 tips, and I will add as and when I come across more. So if you enjoyed this video, you could subscribe to my channel, and I will try my best to share much more relevant content with you. And also, drop me an email, drop me a message on what sort of topics you would like me to discuss, and I will go a bit deep into those next time.